Hey guys, Jimmy Bremner and Dexter the boy, CTOA, and we're on the urban trail. And it was raining pretty heavily a while ago, and I was hoping that we could come out and, do a tarp shelter and sort of poncho shelter, and put on my Taz Tiger poncho and get out here in the rain and do a video for you. I actually like going out in the rain for a couple of reasons. Number one, you never run into anybody when you're out in the rain. I find it very peaceful, as long as there's no lightning. Lightning is a no-go, so you best stay in. But again, here where we usually sit, you see the whole landscape changing because of the amount of rain that we got this summer. And in fact, the bank is totally undermined here, and now we have to start blazing new trails down here because there's so much debris that's fallen. And as I said, the banks of the river here, it's more of a creek. They totally collapsed. So when we do get the torrential rains, again, the water here, it rises about 15 feet. It's fascinating to see. Just maybe like 50 meters that away, my right, your left, is the confluence of the Don River. And very soon, believe it or not, we're going to have the run of the salmon. And I'll try and get down here and capture that for you, because it's actually fascinating to see in the middle of a big city like Toronto that you have these salmon in the Don River. And we're probably 15 kilometers from the lake, so it's a long way to go, So that said, today I'm going to talk about cool tools, but today I'm going to talk about goofy tools. Things you should avoid, and how to make your dollar go a bit further. If there's three knives that you should own, or three brands that you would follow, that you can depend on. Mora, again, Mora knife. Obviously Swiss Army, how much I like Swiss Army. And again, I have my Russell's knife. It's kind of a high-end knife, but that said, the buck knives, you can't go wrong with those. And I think it's the 119, which is the fixed blade buck knife. It was actually back in the day in competition with the K-bar for the military. Came not close to winning the contract, so again, quite a good brand and reliable. I'd say buck 110, you can't go wrong with that. Trains going by now. Like I said, the great thing about the Dawn is, with the trains and things like that, it's like you come back 100 years by just getting out in the ravine, and it's pretty neat to spend that time with your dog. So let's get back to the goofy tools, okay? Anything that's kind of wood on it, okay, these goofy multi-tool things, useless. That's not a hammer, because there's some physics involved in hammering. And that's why hammers look the way they do and weigh the amount they do. That's why they have a big head at the end of a long, handle, and that's kind of how it works, right? The same with the axes and hatchets, rather. And again, like this, I don't know where I even got this, but it's got like a little goofy flashlight on it. And anytime you see this kind of wood, pass it by. Total junk. other things to just forget it. Um, these kind of, I don't know what they call that, like a survival card or something like that. It's totally useless. What edge there is there, it doesn't stay sharp. But a bottle opener, I don't know about you guys, but pretty well every bottle in the world now is a twist off. Over in Europe, you still see the odd bottle that you would need an opener for. But I think it's time that the knife designers, multi-tool people, just kind of leave the bottle opener out. Okay, and if you know how to open bottles, actually don't need a bottle opener. Next to that, in goofiness, are these wire saws. You're more likely to cut yourself or damage a finger. Yeah, you can put toggles in there and do that, but it'll break. And now that said, there are military grade ones that are quite good, and they're ones that are sort of like wire rope or cable, and those actually work quite well, but typically the handles will break off of them. But if you need a saw, you get a saw, okay? And a lot of these things are just like gimmicks. They don't have to work, they just have to sell. So let's talk about another goofy thing, are these crambits. Like I said, I'm totally moving away from this tactical, hyper vigilant world that we live in. I did it long enough, and I'm done with it. Okay, so goofy. All right, that's what you do. It's what you do, but goofy. So what on a budget? What would you get? So I'm going to save a little bit of money, right? And I'm going to get one thing that's going to work really well all the time. Now, if you go to your big box hardware stores, your Lowe's, your Home Depot, what have you, you can get these Milwaukee knives. It's a locking blade. Okay, it actually locks closed. It's a locking blade on it. Pocket clip that you can reverse. And these are around $14, $12, $14. And it's robust. The lock is very good. It keeps an edge really well, and high visibility, so you can see it if you drop it. And I think for that kind of money, your money's better spent on this than these other, these pieces of junk. Okay, and a knife is a multi-tool. It actually does just about everything if you are skilled and you know how to use it properly. You'll say, well, there's no saw in there. But if you know how to use a knife properly and you beaver chew, that sapling or the piece of wood that you're after, you can get through it quite readily. I mean, it takes like less than 30 seconds to do it. So again, a knife is a multi-tool, but you have to know, you have to have some practical skills with the knife, right? Probably the next really inexpensive best knife that you could have your entire life is something called an open L. Now, open L typically has a wooden handle, and it has a lock on it. It has this rotating barrel here that locks the blade down. Now, this one's a bit different in it. I bought it because I always have Dexter with me, and it has a whistle on it, and it floats, and it has a serrated edge. I like them. Most people don't. It's serrated and has the clip point there, and it is a one-hand opener. So that's why I picked this one. It's a couple dollars more than the wooden handled Opinels. They're really good for food prep. They have a really fine edge on them, and they're really good for food prep. Again, in Europe, they're from France, but in Europe they're just a lot more practical about what they're using tools for. I think they just, like I said, it's a utilitarian thing that you use on a daily basis. It's just, it's common sense, So really like the Opinel. And then, as I said, Swiss Army, you can't go wrong with this. I believe this is a Tinker. Again, in your, whether you're on Amazon or in an outfitter store, there may be $23, and it'll last you a lifetime. If you manage to break it, you send it back, they'll give you a new one. And this is another favorite of mine. Again, it's like for office carry. It's really cool. It does also have an awl on it, and has the A-locks scales, but it doesn't have the toothpick and the tweezers on it. I've got a Swiss Army Farmer coming, and it has a saw and a pair of, again, scissors on it, and so it gives you a little bit more, little wider spectrum of what you can use that for. And actually what's interesting on the Farmer, I'll show you when I get it, should have it by the end of the week, the blades are actually thicker than the rest of them. So I guess it's made for the farm. But again, really, you'll have this your whole life. And the last thing I'll say, if you're looking for a bargain, is that you attend garage sales, estate sales, things like that. This knife is a British military issue Navy knife. It was made in 1941. Printed right here, Sheffield. And I got this for maybe $8 to $12 many years ago. Carbon steel, super sharp, can strike sparks off it if I need to for fire starting. You can't beat it, So you have to think about what it is and what you want, and again, skill sets and learning. The only way you can learn is actually by going out and challenging yourself and doing it. So I'm going to end with this. I talked about all these courses and certificates and things like that, and I'm moving on from that world. And the other night I'm thinking about this because that's what I do, and it occurs to me that there is a traditional way to learn to play a guitar. You have to be able to read music. There's certain ways that you use the fretboard with your fingers, certain ways to hold your hands, to make all of that magic happen. And that's how you do it. You can actually go get certificates and things like that for learning that and progressing through each step. And then this guy, he comes along and he picks up a guitar, holds it upside down and backwards, breaks all the rules. His name's Jimi Hendrix, and nobody would ever tell him he doesn't know how to play a guitar. There's back in the day, there was a big controversy because he did Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock. You may not know, he was in the 101st Airborne. So, I think he can get away with that, right? So, what I'm saying is, I've said it before, it's not the stupid question, it's the unquestioned answer. And not all of us do things the way everybody else does it. If you're doing it, you're doing it, and you don't need a certificate or somebody's approval. If it's working, it's working. And again, I think, you know, sometimes there's a fear to move away from what, you know, we're used to. We did it yesterday, it'll probably be good today, but in my experience, every day changes the rules, every single day, and that's the reality of Mother Nature and the world, right? So I think max flexibility is where you have to be, and that's all I've got for this one. So again, don't be afraid to be independent and critically think, ask questions. That's how you move forward with things. And get out there in the dirt and get your hands dirty. And that's, in my experience, how you actually learn how to do things, right? So can't learn it on YouTube videos and download an app. One day, all this technology is going to crash, and then you'll be back on your own. Here's a funny thing, right? I got this thing, right, to hold my phone when I do the videos. Well, it's broken now, and right now, my phone is on my walking stick with a couple rubber bands holding it on, and it's working just fine. So see what I'm saying? So that's enough now. So it's me and Dexter the boy, right there. See, there he is, watching my back. CTOA Urban Trail, and we're out.